We are now live. So welcome everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Relax Team's monthly lunch and learn. The topic for today is family. Can be a better topic. And we've got a couple of great panelists in addition to a wonderful nonprofit that's going to start it all off for us. So without any further ado, Oscar, in about 5 minutes or so, can you tell us, the organization that you represent, and most importantly, how can we help you?
Absolutely. I will do it in exactly 5 minutes because 3.5 minutes of that's going to be a video that'll explain everything. So Operation Underground Railroad was started in 2013 by Tim Ballard, a former agent with Homeland Security. After being trained in Colombia about human trafficking, especially child sex trafficking around the world, he wanted to know what the U.S. government can do to stop it. And they said, we can't because we don't have jurisdiction around the world. So he left his job, his pension, everything he had to start Operation Underground Railroad to stop child sex trafficking in the U.S. and around the world. So I'm going to share my screen, do a quick video, and then we can do question and answer after that. Hold on 1 second, because we got to do share screen with sound.
Yes.
We're getting better at this.
You want water or anything? I'm a federal agent and I work for Homeland Security Investigations. There was one file that was interesting to us that you had, and it's something that we've only seen 3 times before. It was a PDF document.
Which one?
It was a PDF document, and it was many, many pages, and it was talking about the ways in which to show a child love in a sexual way, but doing it safely without hurting them.
New tonight, predators targeting social media websites.
A spike in children being targeted. Human traffickers returning to popular websites.
The average age, 14, 15, 16 is the age that we're seeing.
They are using this pandemic as an avenue. They know that these kids are home, they're bored.
In the United States, people comfort themselves by saying, well, that's not me. That's just in very, very remote, poor areas. It's in every area. The only difference is it's undercover.
A lot of the time we're taught that trafficking is you being thrown into a van and somebody kidnaps you and then you're never seen again, when it's actually a lot more subtle than that.
I'm not going to go stand at a corner at a mall because that's just too creepy, right? But I'm going to be online. I'm going to follow people.
I didn't think it was as dangerous as it was. Someone on the internet, how's that going to affect our children? You know, they're here with us.
It seemed like we were dating, so I was like, okay, well, I guess we're in a relationship, so this is okay.
The boyfriend pimp or the Romeo pimp, where they use manipulation and love to lure the victims in.
He decided to ask me for some inappropriate pictures. I was 12 at the time.
We've had a few of them where somebody be controlling the kids from somewhere else, and they're charging other people to watch this child. That's trafficking right there.
I started digging deeper, and these people are everywhere. They had multiple fake accounts, and they're trying to talk to my daughter through this kid that is asking for nudes.
It was scary. It was really scary to think that that happens here at home.
The reality is that kids are getting hurt. Once you see the scale of it, over 100,000 in the United States, when you understand that it's kids from all walks of life, then you feel like you have to do something about it.
That's the stick. And you can see that the officers are watching the windows.
We've identified a suspect. Our goal in serving that search warrant is to get all of their electronics so we can now prove our case. Obviously, their goal is to hide all that.
Deny. No, I've never downloaded California from there. All his devices are encrypted, every single one of them.
The person's more technically savvy than a lot of the people that we deal with.
This needs to be mandatory awareness and training. I want every law enforcement community, from Butte, Montana to Miami, to have their hand in human trafficking.
The worst thing you can do is hide from this issue because it's coming at your kids whether you like it or not.
I feel compelled to share something that nobody else knows about. I felt my kids were safe. One night at 1 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang, just half a ring. Somebody had answered. Somebody is in the house. So now I grab my gun and my dogs. I hear something and I say, announce who you are now. I feel under threat and I will shoot you. Nothing. I'm serious. Announce. I will shoot you. My son had been playing on PlayStation and had been contacted by a guy in California.
One of these creeps got into your house.
He called at night and then you picked up on half a ring and said, I'll call you back. That's not normal. I think people think this is a far-off problem.
And that is the name of the movie that will be coming out. It's called It's Happening Right Here. What people do not understand is that slavery did not end with Lincoln. It just continued, and there are actually more people enslaved now than ever before. So human trafficking is going on everywhere. I'm going to share one more. Get rid of that. What I'm going to share is the website that you can go to, which is OURrescue.org. And if I can figure out how to do that, I'm on a typewriter here. OURrescue.org is the website you want to go to be able to volunteer as a conductor, helping us spread the word. That's all we really need for people to do, is spread the word with what's going on. The other thing is volunteer with money or volunteer with time. That's the only thing we need, is to really get awareness out of what's going on. So I'm a volunteer with Operation Underground Railroad for the past 2 years. My business has been taking a portion of every sale we do and donate it to that organization. So my information, and you guys know, is my phone number, 646-578-7097. If you need more information, but OURrescue.org is the main place to go to find out more about what you can do and what's going on in your community.
Dennis, you're on mute.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. Anyone have any questions for Oscar before we move on? Thank you, sir. We look forward to getting that word out. It's an amazing cause, and I know it's very scary what's happening on those video games. So we'll kick it off. Wendy, we'll go around and we'll let everyone on the panel introduce themselves. And didn't mean to start on a low note with Oscar's The Reality. So hopefully we can pick this up a little. Wendy, you want to fill us in about who you are and what you do?
Well, I think I could cheer everybody up because I love to talk about food all day. Who doesn't love to talk about food, right? So I'm Wendy Kushnicki. I am an independent consultant with Pampered Chef. I am your go-to kitchen guru for all of your cooking challenges. I started my business because I love to cook, I love to entertain, and I truly value how important it is to bring families together at the end of the day over the dinner table to share their challenges, their successes, to just hash things out and bring everybody together, because food always brings people together. So we do that through cooking products, through recipes, and in-home parties, online parties. Join my Facebook page and get some new cooking tips and some inspiration to bring your family together.
Excellent. Next up, we have Jessica. You want to introduce yourself, who you are and what you do?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Dale. I'm the owner of A Place at Home, which is a in-home senior care. We serve Somerset, Hanover, Morris, and some parts of the Union counties. We provide customized in-home care based on the senior's needs. All our care plans are created by a qualified registered nurse and delivered by a compassionate team of caregivers. We also offer care coordination and senior living alternative, which is a free personalized service that helps seniors and their families identify the senior care community that best fits their needs. Whether it's independent, assisted, memory, or long-term care, we can help. So if you know somebody that needs in-home care, and not necessarily for seniors, sometimes there is, you might know somebody that had surgery and needs some companionship and help with home errands and stuff, we can also help. Jessica Dale with A Place at Home.
Yes, and didn't you just do a charitable thing for the YMCA yesterday?
Yes, we had George Pizzo, who does is the owner of Caring Transitions. That's all the declaring and moving for seniors. We had a very good turnout. We had I think it was like about 15 seniors that came, and we had lunch, and we explained all our services and their options, that they have as they age. And it was actually very, very good.
Awesome. Next up, we have Jake.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jake Miola. I'm known as Jake of all trades. I do a lot of things that families can enjoy and actually can help protect families. Most often is the actual Legal Shield and ID Shield. ID Shield, actually, I was thinking of when Oscar was explaining about his cause, because ID Shield helps protect your family from internet predators, be it cyber bullies, cyber attacks, spamware, malware, all those types of craziness on the internet, making sure that you and your family are protected, whether you're at home on the comfort of your own Wi-Fi, or if you're out and about in the world at a coffee shop, at a school where it's a shared internet space, you're making sure that your information, your data is protected. And then the Legal Shield side of things, making sure that you have someone in your corner if, God forbid, something goes wrong. We've all had instances where we need a lawyer in our lives, but there's a lot of times that we also could have used a lawyer's help, but couldn't afford it because of the exorbitant cost. So this way you're more empowered to protect yourself and vouch for yourself and know what your rights are in any given situation. I'm also a karaoke DJ, so that's always fun for the family. And I also own an online secondhand bookstore. So I know these days we do a lot more virtual and digital things, either on your phone, on your computer, video games, but there's nothing like the feel of a book in your hand, not a virtual one where you have to push the button to change the page, the one where you can actually flip the paper. And the fact that we're a secondhand store, we make sure that we're not, adding to the waste in the world. So we want to reclaim these books, put them back into readers' hands, and make sure that they are getting a second chance at life. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll put my website in the chat, but it's jakeofalltrades.info, so you can check out more.
Excellent. And then next up we have Drew. Drew, you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Thanks, Dennis. It's good to see everybody. My company is Profit Compassion. Started it back in 2019. And my goal really is the fact that I know that people want to improve quite a few things in their life. Top two are finance and health. I am a franchise owner of Schooley Mitchell, largest business-to-business cost reduction consulting firm in North America. So I help companies put more of their hard-earned money back in their budget. And I kind of like a Robin Hood, take a little bit away from their service providers because we know that they charge more than they should. On the health and wellness side, after 24 years in healthcare, I am also an independent affiliate with ASEA, a biotech company that has a product that helps the body naturally, and it's native to the body, healthy healing and healthy aging. Also coming out with a book in July, self-help book for men, the uncanny knack of taking on top 4 or 5 top life stressors at the same time, and live to tell about it. And I pride myself in finding out what people need and helping them fill it. Whether or not I can do it, I surround myself with trusted advisors who can. Thank you.
All right. And finally, we have Tracy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tracy Spiaggia with Slingshot Health Coaching. I am a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and a brain health specialist. I work with individuals and families who struggle with myriad mental health challenges, and I help fill the gigantic gap that currently exists between the symptoms and the Western allopathic approach to quieting those symptoms down. So I support families in assessing their diet, their lifestyle, using targeted supplementation to support the gut and brain. But we also dive deep into healthy relationships, healthy conflict resolution. We take a look at past traumas and do our best to work through those so that the body can release emotional pain so that it can then begin to do the great work of physical healing. So it's something that's truly powerful and that is gravely missing in the narrative of mental health. I do a lot of public speaking in schools, in churches, and just in community settings, trying to educate and empower families to become the CEO of their own mental health care journey, and partner with physicians very often to kind of speak into the gap, which is a skill set that is unique and separate from the skill set that the doctors have. So it makes for a much more holistic experience. You can find me online at slingshothc.com and on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
So Jessica, do you want to talk to us a little bit? Obviously, this is a family is a big part of what you do in your business. You want to talk about the topic and some insights that you have regarding it?
Sure. It is, well, this is a little different, the population that, that I serve, but it certainly affects everybody. I have small children, I have teenagers, and it's always that concern, with everything that goes on. And sometimes there is very little control that we have over, what they are exposed to. So it is, for me, communication is everything, and monitoring as well. As much as you can trust your children, and as much as you can trust, the way they live life and the values that you place on them, it is sometimes very difficult. So the danger is out there, and sometimes they just trust people, and if we don't have good communication with them, things can go really wrong. Kids are very easy to convince, the peer pressure and all that. And sometimes they just want to try things because that's part of growing up. And so for me, communication is key, and always try to do things with them, get to know them. And, I just get ahead of my kids. Like, I know exactly what they're thinking, or just by looking at them, I know sometimes what they will do in certain situations. But with that being said, I remember being a kid and, playing my mom very well on things that I wanted to do, and she, and hide from her. So it is very difficult these days with social media and controlling. You can't really control at one point. It's just, you got to let go and trust them. But communication is definitely key.
Excellent. Jake, you want to share a little bit about the topic?
Yeah. So just family in general, the idea of ID Shield and Legal Shield is to really give you a service that you are actually going to use. It's been compared to an insurance product, which it's not, but it kind of has that idea where, okay, this is something that I pay for every month so that, when I need it, I can use it. But as opposed to an insurance product, this is something that actually kicks in and can help you from day one, and it can bring you positive experiences rather than when you have to use your car insurance or life insurance. That's usually a negative experience where it's, indemnifying the situation. So what I like to tell people about is more of the good side of using Legal Shield. So just a quick story. It's about a family that did go on vacation. They were set to go out to Hawaii, have a really nice family vacation. They hadn't gone in a while. They had gotten their tickets. They had a layover in Texas. Something happened when they were in Texas where the plane was, having maintenance done on it. So they missed their connecting flight, and they actually missed a whole day's worth of excursions. They missed out on at the one night at the hotel. So they missed out on a lot of stuff. When they got back, they were in contact with the airline to see what they could do about the situation. And they said, oh, we're sorry this happened, but we hope you'll fly with us in the future. Essentially not offering anything, not, a discount, not condolences, not anything. And they were kind of upset because they missed, hundreds of dollars worth of excursions. So what happened was they actually reached out to Legal Shield, and their lawyer sent a letter to the airline on their behalf. And wouldn't you know it, within 2 weeks, they actually got a letter from the airline with an apology letter and 4 tickets to anywhere within the continental US, as sort of an apology for, the way that they had responded before, and the, difficulties that they had had in the past. So if you think about it, that 4 tickets alone, has made the membership and the subscription worth it. And they would not have taken the time to call a lawyer, spend $300 and get that taken care of, because at that point, it just doesn't seem worth it. You're spending more money than you would have been getting back anyway. So, having someone to advocate for you and to help protect your family and, be there for you in the good times and the bad. God forbid it was a situation where either your kids are being threatened to take away, or, there's a misunderstanding, you're about to get arrested, things like that. It's good to have something in your corner to protect you from all of those things.
Nice. Next up, we have Tracy.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm not driving, so I can leave on my camera. So I suppose we're just supposed to kind of give a little bit about how
just some insights on family. I mean, obviously that's what you do. So just whatever topic you want to talk about on the insights on family.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. So for me, how I ended up in this work and what my heart's passion is for a very healthy family dynamic. And I have over these, last couple of decades come to really appreciate the critical importance of physical health in order for relationships to be healthy. It's really very challenging if somebody is in a state of chronic inflammation, or certainly sympathetic dominance within the brain, for them to have access to executive function, which is necessary for conflict resolution and for relating to another human being with compassion and empathy, and wanting to come to a compromise when you reach an impasse. So just over these many years, starting off just being a general health and wellness coach, honing in on mental health, I'd say over the last 10 years has been an incredible passion with family health and healthy relationships within the family dynamic, driving that passion. So whenever anybody comes in to work with me, they either come themselves, whether one of the parents is struggling, or they will bring one or more of their children who are struggling. And it's always very interesting, no different than you would bring, let's say, if heaven forbid your daughter fractured her arm, and you'd bring her to the doctor and you'd say to the doctor, here, can you help my daughter? Can you fix her? It's interesting because even in the mental health space, it's somewhat similar. They'll bring in the person who's struggling and almost say like, hey, can you fix this person? And what's unique about this genre of healthcare is it really does require, for the best outcome, it really does require the participation of the entire family, because there's no way in the world the one who's symptomatic, the one whose mental health is suffering, ended up in that situation and position all on their own. Nobody grows sick in a silo, and we really do not heal in a silo. So I love bringing in the power of family and helping people see that a huge component to this person healing and really coming up out of the struggle is if you can begin to study this family member of yours, know them better, and probably make some pretty significant shifts in the way you relate to them so that they perceive safety in the family dynamic in the home, that they can then shift back into parasympathetic and the body can do its holy work of healing. So that to me is the most special aspect of the work I do, because yes, they absolutely enjoy better mental health, but overall they really enjoy a better family dynamic. And that is what brings me just tremendous gratification.
Awesome. So next up, Wendy. You're muted, Wendy.
Sorry. One of those aspects to helping bring family together, of course, is coming together in the evenings at the dinner table, or one meal a day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every single day of the week, but to try to make it a regular habit. I am a mom of 3 boys. They were super busy growing up. They are all young men now. And one of the things that I have tried to teach all of them is how to cook. I am sure that they're all super thankful right now that with the food prices and the gas prices as they are and how expensive it is to go out to eat, that all three of them can actually go grocery shopping and put a healthy meal on the table. And that is my biggest goal as a Pampered Chef consultant, to give people the tools that they need to teach their kids how to cook. And you can start that from an early age. You don't have to give them a knife when they're 5 years old, but there's no reason that they can't be stirring the batter to make a cake, or helping you make a salad and tearing up the lettuce, or even using our food chopper where the blade is self-contained and they are just slapping the top. And if you get your kids in the kitchen right from the beginning, they are also less likely to be picky eaters, because they are helping you prepare what they are going to have for dinner. So I love to give people all of those tips and tricks. You know, it breaks my heart when I hear people say, oh my gosh, I'm cooking 3 meals because this one won't eat this and that one won't eat that. So when you get the entire family involved, not only are you preparing a meal that everybody's going to eat and saving yourself a lot of stress, but you are also laying the foundation for opening those lines of communication that Jessica talked about before, because you're going to talk while you're preparing that meal. You know, you'll be asking your kids, how was your day? What did you do with your friends? How was soccer practice? Whatever it might be. And, you know, how was your test? Are you having any issues? And it's a safe space to share the challenges, the successes, and then you sit down and you share a meal, because that always brings people together. So through kitchen products, through recipes, through inspiration, that's always my goal. And I love to cook, so everybody should love to cook. So
I know I was the youngest of 5, and we would have dinner on the table, the same table. You know, everyone took their turns setting up, different roles, had their different jobs, but every night we had our dinner, the whole thing, the dessert, the whole bit. So
yes,
understood.
exactly.
And it's some of the memories you just stick in your head. So it's a great
Exactly. Yes, because you are creating all of those memories at the dinner table. And we have had some crazy conversations at the dinner table, but you know, we have also solved a lot of problems within our family over the dinner table. So truly benefits everyone.
And then finally we have Drew. Drew, you want to introduce?
Absolutely. Drew Durrani, you know, I'll start with saying I'm a single parent, father of 3 wonderful children, a daughter 16 and sons 18 and 20. What I find really, you know, I guess I'll go backwards to what I'm doing today. I'm working on a book that's supposed to come out in July. It's really going to be addressing self-care for men. And the thick content is going to be really my bio from 2015 to 2022 and everything I've endured within that time frame and what I've learned. And it's going to be trying to, I guess the best way to talk about it is the Drew of 2022 is going to educate the Drew of 2015. When you go through transformational change and mindset shift, the person I am right now is very different from the person I was in 2015. And there are a ton of men going through a lot of internal turmoil. And society tells us, we men, to be tough, you know, put on your big boy pants, suck it up, and not show your emotions. What I find fascinating in doing my research is, you know, the data shows that 50% of our belief system is formed by the age of 7. And 90% is formed by the age of 18. So if you think of being 7 years old and younger, where we're getting our information from, and the same up to age 18, our belief systems is kind of set before we even know what's going on in the world. And some of us are perfectly aligned with that subconscious that's been created for us. And some of us have a misalignment, and our brain right now is telling us one type of beliefs, yet our subconscious tells us another. It's that battle between the subconscious and the conscious that I address in my book, and especially the fact that we all should embrace emotional vulnerability, because if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it helps communication better. Being divorced, if I had used some of the concepts that I've known now during the divorce, things may have been different, and may have changed, or may not have changed, but I don't know. The communication would have been better. I'm also going to be addressing topics which affect the family, such as people pleasing. Not very healthy, and trying to be a fixer, not really healthy. So more to come, but the stuff I do professionally impacts business owners, and what they endure affects their family. What I'm doing in the health and wellness space, if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others? So I'm really going to be working towards self-care, especially for men, because we don't take care of ourselves that well, mentally and physically.
We do a horrible job. I can attest to that. So,
more
all
to
right,
come.
Tracy, do you want to come on and follow up on anything that you had spoken about earlier, and or any of the panelists?
I was just transfixed on what Drew was sharing there, even to the point of considering reaching out to you, Drew, to learn more about your book. And this is a really big aspect, believe it or not, in the work that I do, is the societal expectation of men to just put their head down from young and grit and ignore emotion and ignore self-care. And I think it's really at the epicenter of why families are eroding at the rate that they are, because we need our men. We need our men to embrace their strength, but also to be safe in the familial relationships, to be vulnerable, for their significant others to give them permission to express how they're actually feeling, so those feelings can be addressed and dealt with to closure, so that our men can wake up and deal with the day in a strong way and not be carrying decades worth of burden on their back. Just giving that space for men and dads is so important. It's probably, to me, one of the most important societal shifts we need to make, is to really re-empower our men who are made to be in control, who are made to be powerful, but in myriad ways that power is being drained and stripped, and they're kind of spinning. And that's what makes it very difficult to show up as a husband, as a father, as a provider, as a protector, because there's just too many demands on the man. So Drew, I just absolutely love what you're doing. I love the concept of the book, and I'd love to have a conversation.
I would love to. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy.
I think you faded out on us, Tracy. So actually, we're coming back to Drew next. So Drew, do you want to follow up on that? And
Absolutely. One of the big things is, we have to agree there. One factual thing that can't be debatable is men and women do think differently. The synapses fire differently in our brains. The neurons fire differently. We need to agree with that, and then move forward and say we each owe it to ourselves, gender to gender, to try to understand as much as possible how the other gender thinks. Because the more that we're empathic, the more we understand and still keep our inner strength, the more we can communicate better and understand and share common goals and expectations. I think that's really where we need to work on, but the agreement first has to be that men and women do physically think differently. The brain fires differently. And once we acknowledge that, we can move forward. It is a shame that society does say that men shouldn't show their emotions. In the flip side, it's the same thing for women. An assertive woman in the professional space, if they're assertive, they're called a bitch. And that's wrong too. We're all human beings and we think differently. So what? Get on with it and try to work together. So it really is a passion of mine, because in my divorce, my ex-wife and I, we didn't communicate very well. We used a lot of avoidance, a lot of people pleasing, and the communication wasn't there. And I think if we both understood how we each physically think and can articulate it in words to understand each other better, the path would have been a lot smoother. Not saying the results, I don't chase results, could have been the same. Path would have been a lot smoother.
I agree, Drew. The communication, going back to that, is very important. And not everybody likes that. I mean, sometimes people don't want to hear certain things, but I also think that it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Because a lot of times that's the problem with communication. We say things in a way that it's not necessarily the best way to get things done. And the same thing when we send texts or emails, a lot of times it's much better pick up the phone and talk to the person, because when you hear the tone of voice and the way you communicating is very different than when you send a text. You know, it can come across in very different ways. You know, one sentence can be read in with many different tone of voice, and it just makes a huge difference. So, yeah.
I can relate to that because I spell half the words wrong in the text as well, which really messes it up.
Oh yeah, that could be a problem.
So as far as going, so Jessica, you want to expand a little bit more on what you were talking about earlier too, besides just following up on Drew?
On the
you want to follow up a little bit more about, you know, what your impact on the family, or is that all you have some more time to follow up on if you want?
Yeah, sure. I mean, communication, spending time with family, you know, getting to know family, it's very important. And, you know, like for me, working with seniors and working with their families, I honestly, when I do my assessments, I just don't talk much. I listen and listen. And you'd be surprised how much you learn about your clients by just listening and not just going through a questionnaire and fill out those lines. You know, it is very important because every case is different, every family is different, and it's very important that you get to know them in order to serve them well. At least in my business, I was there with a daughter and a lady that had COVID and wasn't responding well. She's back in the hospital. What the lady was, what she wanted was a little different from what the daughter wanted. So it's very difficult. So by listening and kind of like maybe have a conversation separately with the daughter, you can, I could better serve them because, you know, everybody has their own ways to do things. Everybody has their own ways to live life. So, and understanding is very important. You know, like I go through that with my kids. My daughter is my high maintenance person in the family. And I just learned to try to see things from her perspective, right? And instead of telling her what to do, I suggest things. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times it's how you say things versus what you say. You know, it could be very different. You can accomplish a lot more by changing things around instead of just, as a parent, we tend to say, just do this because I say so, you know, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Understood. Wendy, do you want to follow up on either something that someone has mentioned and or what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of piggyback on Jessica's communication comments again, because, and as your kids get older, it's harder to communicate with them because you need to actually schedule time with them almost, where, you know, when your kids are little and they're always with you, it's a little easier to keep those lines of communication open. But as they get older and they get into those more demanding extracurricular activities, they start driving, they're spending more time with their friends, they go out on Saturday for the entire day and you don't see them for lunch or dinner. You know, it helps if you can, you know, schedule that meal time and they know that they're expected to be there, or to bring them together. Everybody wants to eat, right? Like we all have to eat. So it's an easy way to get them at least in front of you so you can find out what's going on in their life and if they need help with anything, or if you need to make those suggestions. And I do like that word because the minute you tell your kids what to do when they're 15, they do the exact opposite. So you definitely need to do the suggestions. So, you know, it truly is important to schedule that time, bring them together. You know, they're going to eat. So, and then they can go off and do whatever they're going to do afterwards. So I just try to make it easier to make that happen.
And Wendy, you do that for not just your family, but for others, because you have a lot of recipes and things that you're able to share. And you want to talk about where people can find some of that stuff?
Sure, absolutely. So you can look me up on Facebook. And as long as you spell my last name correctly, I am the only Wendy Kushnicki on Facebook. So you can like my business page, and I do lots of cooking demos there. I have a VIP group, and I share a lot of recipes and have fun with food there on a regular basis. So is there someplace we can put those links besides the chat, Dennis, like that everybody would be able to access them?
I'm going to make sure they're going to be on the blogs when people see this as well.
Okay, awesome. So I can send that to you. But, of course, I also do parties. So my hosts get lots of free and discounted products. I do fundraisers, gift registries. So I make it very easy to get Pampered Chef products into people's hands so that it is easier for them to get a meal on the table. And you do not have to be a gourmet cook. I have lots of products where you just throw the ingredients in, and half an hour later, dinner is done. And you literally can walk away, do your laundry, have a glass of wine or tea or whatever, and not be in the kitchen for an hour preparing a meal. And most of our stuff goes in the dishwasher, so you don't need to take the time to clean up either. So that just gives you more time to create those memories, keep the communication channels open, and spend time with your family.
Excellent. And coming back into Jake, sir.
Yeah, of course. And so it's connected to communication, but it's also, having experiences and sharing experiences with your kids. I know that as you grow up, you can kind of feel a little disconnected with your parents, not necessarily seeing them as human beings, but just as your parents. And there's a lot of lessons that, school doesn't teach you, college doesn't teach you, that maybe your parents have learned while growing up that they can, share with you and expand upon your knowledge. I always find it's great for families to spend time together, but also to share life experiences so they can, really humanize themselves as people and be like, hey, I know you think we don't know anything about what you're going through, but hey, when I was your age, XYZ, here's a story that proves like, hey, I know what you're going through and here's what I did. And hey, it was a good idea, or hey, no, this is probably what I should have done. And just knowing, these experiences has already happened to my parents, and knowing like, okay, well, they really do want to know and help me through any experiences that I'm having. Of course, teenagers, they are what they are, so they might not care either way, but at least you can kind of connect with them and share your experiences. I know that after I left college and it was dealing with taxes and dealing with, all sorts of crazy real life stuff, I was like, wow, I really wish I had learned this. If mom and dad had taught me this, because obviously they're dealing with taxes. So, sharing those experiences and actually doing things together, going out to a concert together, or, going out and bowling, or, reading a book together. If the whole family is reading the same book at the same time, you can have discussions about the books and things like that. Just experiences where a lot of times people will just go and spend money on things, when their kids want to get something, that new game system, or, the new electric scooter or whatever it is. If you spend the money on experiences and you're sharing that time together, it's kind of two birds, one stone. You get to grow your bond and, experience things together. And you're also, becoming more of a family unit, spending that time together. So that's my 2 cents on that part.
Exactly. And who wants to do taxes, you can send them to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right. And next up, in 2 minutes or less, Jessica, what is the one thing you want people to remember from this, 1 or 2 things that you want people to remember from the conversation here today?
That's a good question. I think making time to live, to do things with family, and to, with the pandemic, we learned that being close to your family was so important. And we didn't have any option, right? We were locked up and we were 24/7 with our families. But honestly, I feel that we bonded even more. My kids bonded. It was incredible for them. Like they had no choice but get along. They never fought badly, but it really got them close together. We did a lot of things, and I think that that helped my kids to mature, and it helped us to spend time with them and realize that is very important in life. That's all we take with us at the end of the day. Material things stays in this world. So I think spending time with your family and your loved ones is absolutely important, no matter what's going on.
Absolutely. Agreed 150%. I always say, you got the dash between the two numbers, and that dash is what matters, and spending with the family should be the first priority. But next up, we have Drew. Drew, 2 minutes or less. What do you want the one thing you want people to take from this before they get to your book?
Before they get there. I really, when I address the individual, it's everybody in a family. My kids, I'm really trying to teach my kids that the only thing we can control in life is our attitude to start. And then from our attitude, it stems to what the words we say, how we react. So when Jess talks about, be careful of how you say things. Yes, agreed. The accountability really is on our individual selves of how we react to things. And if we can respond rather than react, it's something that Zig Ziglar talks about. I think it's much healthier. So what I really need to resonate with people is you've got to look inward. You've got to find ways to love yourself and trust yourself, because the only way you can move forward to help others is you have to have a solid foundation inside. And then you can move forward in helping others. And so work on your attitude, work on your beliefs, take care of yourself. And I guess that's really what I want people to
Great advice. Great advice. Oscar, 2 minutes or less. What's the one thing you want people to remember about your operation?
Again, that it is happening right here. And that is the main message that we're trying to get out. Education and information that it's not happening somewhere else. It's happening to the kids that we know. So the more and again, the government is not going to step in and fix this. This is going to be ground roots. It's got to come from us.
Understood. Agreed. Jake, you sir,
Yeah.
2 minutes or less.
So kind of branching off again on what Jess had said, making sure you spend the time with your family and become close. But just to remember, a lot of us are business owners. In fact, pretty much all of us. And a lot of times it's hard to step away from work and remember that you only have so long, so much time with your kids. When they're young, especially, you only get that time once. And once it's gone, it's gone. So remembering to take the time out of your day every day to spend time to, not stress so much, oh, I have to get this, document in, but hey, your kid wants to play for a couple minutes, play for the couple minutes, and then you can get back to your work, right? So those are the memories that you're going to want to go back to. You're not going to remember what deadline you were meeting when you went to that function. You don't remember what you were doing for work, but you're going to remember that time that you went to the park and you played on the swings, or, they fell and got a cut and you helped them with their Band-Aid, and then you moving closer. So just make sure that you spend the time while you have it and spend it on the right things, which is family.
Wendy.
So I'm going to share a little story along those lines. When I was growing up, my mom loves to bake, and we used to do Christmas cookies every single year. And I continued that tradition with my kids. As soon as they were able to roll out the dough, hold a pastry bag, or I would do the pastry bag and they would do the sprinkles or whatever. And, or just give them a knife. Like, I don't even care what they look like. It wasn't about what the cookies look like at the end. It was all about spending that time together and doing something fun. So my kids now are 19, 22, and 25. And do you know, every December, they say, Mom, when are we doing Christmas cookies? So come back to the dinner table and create those memories instead of going to the drive-through and eating in the car, because your kids will remember that. And when you need help with putting your meal on the table, just look me up. I am happy to just provide inspiration or recipes or give you some tips, whether or not you buy from me. But if you need those products, you can come to me for that as well.
Excellent. Excellent. And I'll end it with a little story that I know a number of you have probably heard before, but when with my daughter, she was in pre-K and we're trying to explain things to her. So we came up with this thing we called the jelly bean jar. And what it was all about was at the time it was I was working with helping people with colleges and universities, and it was National Decision Day, May 1st, big day and all. So kind of explained to her that it's not one big decision. She couldn't really understand what was going on because she was in pre-K. So what I did is we created a jelly bean jar, and we put one jar, and we put one jelly bean a day for each of us in the jar. And every day she had the, we'd go in and it was a reason for me to talk to her every day about her day. So we'd come over, we take out the jar and go, okay, did you earn your jelly bean today or not? It's called earning your jelly bean. So did you make good decisions today? And if not, what decisions did you make? And how did you, and what went wrong? And we talked about the decisions she made that day, because life's not about one big decision. It's about a million little decisions and making those decisions over time. So we took the jelly bean jar, and every day and if you made good decisions, you get a jelly bean. If not, the other person gets your jelly bean. And you have to kind of go through. And what is ironic is my daughter ended up eating a lot more of my jelly beans than I get to eat hers. But one of my things how I earn my jelly bean is by making that time to be there every day, to talk to her about those pieces and to go through. And one of her favorite lines, when her brother, I don't know what her brother was saying, and he's talking about this, she goes, Alec, it's not about you. It's about the family. And that's her line for whenever anyone says something, she just says, it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the family. So we'll leave it on that note. So excellent, everyone. So glad everyone could be here. And, it's about the family. So good luck, and whatever we can do to help each other, to help each other's businesses, and to help your family. We're all here. You can find it out at Relax Teams. Everyone here has a card and a profile on Relax Teams. To search their name, you can contact, you can get all their information, you can get whatever you need. So a pleasure, and thanks everybody for attending.